This is The Hard Question on WCGO. Here's BQ.
Okay, let me pose this hard question for you out there in WCGO land, District 9. The district has only had three, it's been like a stronghold for Democrats. And going all the way back to, since 1949, all but for 6 years since, only three people have held the district. We're talking about Sidney Yates, Edward Finnegan, and Jan Schakowsky, who's the current member of Congress. So what is the possibility that someone else, someone new blood, could enter into the competition here in our District 9 and maybe win as a Republican, someone who has a bit of a different background, someone who actually served in military service, was a Special Operation Forces officer, and we're going to talk to him. We're going to get to know him. We're talking about Lieutenant Colonel Sargis Sangari. How are you, Colonel? Good to have you on the show.
Good. It's good to be here.
So now you're taking on an area that has, as I say, been really tightly controlled by the Democratic Party since going back to like 1947, 1949. What has made you decide to try to take this military event, this political event on with such hope? This is a tough one.
Well, it's almost a multi-event because you get an entrenched enemy that you got to go against. But with that said, I've served 20 years in the U.S. military, been multiple deployments, combat deployments. I've been overseas. I've helped even after retirement the past 3 years when I set up the Near East Center for Strategic Engagement in meetings with the National Security Council, Department of State, NEA, the Office of the Secretary of Defense. So I've had multiple discussions in support of our foreign policies, both administrations now, the previous one and the current one. And I know one thing, taking all that knowledge, all that background, it wouldn't be right or fair for me to just retire into the sunset as I see what's happening around me in Illinois and what's happening to our district and specifically what's happening to our country. So sitting down, talking to my wife, I've said, I can't just take all that knowledge and just, shelf it. If you truly want to fight for your country, for the future of your kids, you got to take that and apply it. As I applied it overseas, when I was in the military, now is the time to apply it in politics and try to see if there's a change we could at least have an effect internally here in an entrenched Democratic machine district.
And I'm looking at the district because it includes Evanston, Skokie, Lincolnwood, Gulf, Park Ridge, Wilmette, portions of Morton Grove, DePlain, Glenview, and some of the north and far northwest side of the city of Chicago. It also includes Winnetka, Kenilworth, Northfield, portions of Arlington Heights, Mount Prospect Heights, big district, and Northbrook. And the other thing is, in the past, you had a lot of presence of military. How much presence of military or retired military do you have in the district, do you think?
And there's a lot of them here. We've already reached out and talked to segments of them, and they do want to see a change. The problem you're running into is because it's a gerrymandered district set up in order to allow her to retain her seat. Really, the machine is the reason why she's where she is. It's not because of her record. If you go take a look at her record, it's been insignificant over the past 17 years of what has applied here in support of the people in the 9th Congressional District. Just looking at the numbers you were talking about, 715,000 residents live in the 9th Congressional District. And, just the last election, only 327,000 voted in the general election.
That's terrible.
So you can see that there's
terrible.
Dissatisfaction, and you don't have an opportunity to voice your opinion. We have a very smart, capable district. Almost 50% of the individuals living in the 9th Congressional District either have an undergraduate or a master's degree. And you can't tell me that in these 17 years there was not one Democrat that was capable enough or smart enough out of that district to come and run against her. The reason they can't find anybody or nobody wants to run against her, even her own party, is because the machine just won't allow it. Because they're
That's incredible. I'm looking at the breakdown. You've got, what is it, like 72% of the population is white, 13.3 is Asian, 11.3 Hispanic, and 8.5 black. And that's probably gone up a little bit because this is from a couple of years ago. And the median age there, 35 to 54 years old, is 194,415. And then you're kind of fighting between 55 to 74, which is 163,000 plus, and 20 to 34 years old is 150,000 plus. So I don't know, what's the best way to go about this? I mean, do you go out there and do you block walk? Do you go out there and try to do town halls? What's the best way for you to really to try to get to know these people to make them get out and vote?
Well, they have to get to know you. First thing you have to do is you have to say, I'm going to run, and that's what we did. Then you go out, get your petitions. We had the largest number of petition signers for us in a 5-week period where 2,000 plus individuals signed the petitions that I had wanting to run in the district. Now, we have reached out to multiple of these ethnical communities that you mentioned, and even some of the old historical communities that are just dissatisfied with what she has done for the district. And I think, not getting into her voting record, you can go and look it up and see that it's been insignificant.
But I think you're going to have to get into her voting record. I think you got to paint a picture that people can understand.
I think some of the things that you get to look at as an example, and these are the things that really frustrates you about why the machine is the reason why she is still entrenched in the 9th Congressional District. One, I told you, gerrymandering is absolutely awful, I think, across the board. I will tell you that even Republicans do it, and I don't agree with it. I think it's the way that a elected representative selects their voters rather than the voters selecting their
So you don't think they're going to care whether you're Republican or a Democrat?
No, I think if they get to know who you are personally, and they see that you have a viable, capable record, and that you can actually bring a change to a district, I think they'll be willing to vote. I don't think Jan Schkowsky even represents the social values of a lot of the Democrats, including independents in her district.
So can you get crossover? Can you get crossover to come to you? Can you get people that will say, hey, in the past I voted for Democrats for 25 years or 10 years, but this guy is going to make a difference because we haven't had a difference from the people that have been inside. Schkowsky's been part of the machine. Can you get people to cross over? At least in my political experience that I've had in D.C. and around, I found that if you can show, you can be the person that is identified as change, and you can bring people along that will block walk with you, that they know and appreciate. You can potentially get them to cross over the aisle.
You could bring the crossovers. Like I told you, we have significant individuals, 50+%, that are very educated in our district. They're smart folks, You got to get individuals to understand that just voting along party lines is not how the country progresses. I'm here to represent America, and as that, you got to get into the pieces of legislation that help America move forward in the 21st century.
Well, we're going to get to know you, and we're going to keep in touch with you. And we appreciate you coming on the show, Lieutenant Colonel Sargis Sangari. You have a website real quick?
Yes, they could go to Vote Sangari and take a look at what we have as far as information on me, my bio, and they could take a look at the platform. We should be up in couple of days now.
Well, good. We'll make sure we come back, and we'll have you come back again.